Do you guys know what fallback is? Stand in the video and I'll explain what it is. Alright, so for those who don't know what fallback is when you have your ATM debit card and falls back to swipe. So if you look on your ATM card, you'll notice there's a chip. On most cards, there's an EMV chip, and then all the cards also have what we call a magnetic strip on the back. So when you put your ATM card into an ATM, if it was EMV upgraded, it will clamp down on your card. Once it clamps down on your card, it'll read your card for EMV transaction. If the chip doesn't work, or if the bank, there's something that's a challenge with the chip, it could what we call revert back to fallback, and fallback is the swipe on your card. So that is what fallback is. Why is it important? Well, what happens is your processor has the ability to shut off all the terminals on their entire portfolio and shut fallback off. So therefore, it will not default to fallback. It will just deny the transaction. Or they can make it location specific or region specific, or you can make it ATM specific. So if you, on your ATM, you can enable or disable fallback, or maybe your ISO enables or disables fallback. So it just depends on what level. For us, what we do is we let every customer make that decision if they want to have fallback or not, but it is out there and you can make that decision if your ISO lets you make the decision. Now, why is this important? Because you could be denying transactions that you could maybe take because the chip isn't bad, and your ATM will start denying transactions because your ISO or your processor has said, you know what, we're not taking fallback anymore. So if you're thinking about starting your own profitable ATM business but didn't know where to start, stay in the video and I will show you our checklist entitled ATM Business Passive Income Checklist, the 5 things you need to know to start your profitable ATM business so you can have a clear roadmap towards ATM business success. You can earn between $250 and $1,500 of passive income every single month. All right, let's get back to the video. Point number 3. Well, how can this help? What's the situation? I want to enable fallback. Do I not want to enable fallback? Well, here's the situation. If you knew back in 2017, we upgraded all our ATMs so they were EMV upgradable, which means they take the chip. If you didn't do that, or you bought a used ATM or an older ATM, it still doesn't take the chip, then what happens is the liability is now shifted onto you, the ATM owner. So if somebody puts in a mag stripe into your ATM and it takes it, it could be a fraudulent charge, you cannot dispute that charge, because you have not chosen to upgrade your ATM, or you bought an ATM that is not upgradable. So this happened almost 6 years ago. Almost every ATM that's out there does take the chip, but there are a few, if you bought a used, maybe you didn't know this. This means the liability shifts on you, and because of that, any fraudulent charge or any dispute, you have to eat now. Number 4, how can this hurt? Because if you don't have an ATM that is EMV upgraded, then there's all this fallback, and then the fallback, you can't dispute any charges. Anytime somebody uses that and it keeps going to fallback, your ISO or the processor will say, you know what, your ATM is not upgradable, and then any challenge, you're going to start losing. We've just seen that one of the ATMs had a $40,000 loss because it wasn't EMV upgraded. And there's been recently some more losses out there just because this wasn't EMV upgraded. So you want to make sure that you're EMV upgraded and you're ready so you don't incur any of these losses. And point number 5, this is one that we're going to post on the PDQ Facebook group, is that you got to make sure there's a thing called AID, their identification numbers. You got to make sure that every bank is enabled, because if they're not enabled, some of these could be falling back because the bank isn't enabled, and now the processor or the ISO thinks, hey, this is either a fraudulent ATM or this is an ATM that hasn't been EMV upgraded, and those losses now could be thinking that, hey, you're not upgraded, and now the losses could be on you, when in fact all that happened is the AID were not enabled. So we're going to post it on the PDQ Facebook page. You can check out the bulletin that's out there, and make sure that all your AIDs are enabled so you don't run the risk of having to pay for something that you knew nothing about. All right, so if you're thinking about starting your own ATM business, I want to invite you to our free checklist entitled ATM Business Passive Income Checklist, the 5 things you need to know to start your profitable ATM business so you can start earning passive income, make more money for your family, and spend more time with them also. If that sounds like something that's interesting to you, click the link down below and start your ATM journey today. Again, this is Phil from the ATM Mastermind Group page, where we buy your freedom at one transaction at a time. Thank you guys for making us #1 on YouTube, and I'll see you over at the next ATM Mastermind video.